Hey, it's the Hook Better Leads podcast.
Yeah, I'm talking about Mountain Dews, baby.
We are helping small businesses be more profitable and effective by hooking better leads.
Eat bread and desserts and just get all fat and sassy.
Today, we're talking about closing deals. And we're with Ammon McKinley from Fresh Home Solutions. How's the weather out there in Arizona right now?
It's really nice right now.
It's November 12th. What are the degrees? I'm in Minnesota, man. Give me some.
It's beautiful. It was like 54 at my last inspection.
Balmy. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, we are excited to chat about how Ammon went from 0 to 20 roofs a month and how he did it. So you guys are in a market that doesn't necessarily have a lot of storms. Is that the case? Or
Yeah, Arizona's a little bit of a tough market. There are other companies like us. There's at least 3 or 4 that I know of that pound the pavement pretty hard, knocking doors. And our last storm in the central Phoenix area was almost a year ago. So it's a small market and it's a little tough to find good area to work that actually has damage right now.
if you don't mind, let's kick it off with pure value. Let's talk about the top 3 things if you're just starting your roofing career. If you're just starting selling roofs, what are the 3 things you'd tell to a person trying to get into it?
My career starting out in roofing sales, I was really blessed. I had just gotten home from a mission. I served a 2-year mission for my church in Oregon. And so I already had like a really strong work ethic. And so when I was expected to go out and knock doors for 5-6 hours a day, I was like, that's it, 5-6 hours a day. It was nothing to me. And I was the only guy canvassing for that roofing company that hired me on. So they gave me an area and I went out and knocked it all by myself every day. And so the number one thing.
I'm sorry, I'm actually not familiar with Mission. So is that where you do knock doors?
Yes.
Okay. So you've got this, I like this. You've got this background of, hey, I don't know that much about it's a Mormon church, right?
That's right.
I don't know that much about the Mormon church, but I do know they're good at smiling and I do know they're good at knocking doors.
That's
you had this background and the exact things you need.
Yeah, it was cool to just roll right into it. I wasn't scared about knocking on doors or anything because I just practiced for 2 years. So
how many hours a day would you guys do that when you were in mission?
Knocking doors on your mission is something like you try not to do it. You try to be busy, like working with members and people that you're teaching.
Yeah.
But like my first 6 months, me and my trainer on my mission, we had no clue what we were doing.
Cool.
So we literally knocked our entire area in the first 3 months and had no clue what to do after that. So we probably knocked like 5,000 doors in the first 3 months. So and that's all we did all day.
So let's do this now. Sorry, I apologize for the side note. It does give like a little bit of background context here, but the top 3 things if you're just starting out in your roofing career, you said work ethic.
Yeah, work ethic would be number 1. Just staying out, and not just staying out, but like staying out of your car. Because a lot of times, like I'm parked at a gas station right now between appointments to do this podcast. It's so easy to just post up at a gas station and grab a drink, listen to some music, answer some phone calls, text some customers. You have to have designated time to just be working. Whether that's like I have a canvasser now, but I also knock my own doors. Whether it's time just being out or like time dedicated to knocking and dedicated to closing. So staying out of the car and on the doors. And then I would say number 2 is you need to find a good mentor. I was really lucky. I had an awesome trainer that taught me how to inspect a roof. He took his time with me. I started setting appointments for him. And after like 8 or 9 weeks, I really wanted to get into sales. And he let me come in with him on his appointments. He walked me through the whole process. I just shadowed him and watched him close deals for 2 or 3 weeks before I went out and closed my own deal, and that made a
Mhm.
huge difference for me. So find a good mentor would be number 2. And
Awesome.
then
And your last one is?
number 3, find someone to mentor. So as soon as I got done with my training on learning how to close, I immediately hired one of my friends to canvas for me. And it kept me really sharp because it got to be, we were in Utah at the time. It got to be winter. So I moved out to Arizona to work Arizona during the winter. And I hired one of my friends, my best friend from my mission, to come and knock doors for me. So
And
it keeps you
he knows
sharp.
how to knock doors too.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we were a
That's a
great
hack,
team.
man. I love that.
It is.
Um,
Hire
okay.
Mormon missionaries.
Yeah,
That's tip
exactly.
number 4.
Yes. All right. So I like those 4, excuse me. Let's go into like this idea of like without storms, what's the difference? What have you seen? Like, have you had to do that people that have storms that have not had to do? And maybe they can learn something from you too. The people that do have storms can learn something from what you guys have learned.
Yeah, so like every market's different, and like you're always up against something. Like here, we're up against 3 or 4 competitors. When I knock on someone's door down here, we have an 11-month-old storm. Their door's been knocked on at least 20 times already by me and someone else. In other markets like Texas, Florida, all these places that got hit by hurricanes, they're getting 20 people knock on their door every day.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you're in a really competitive state, the biggest thing you're up against is other contractors. And a lot of times people will try to pin you against each other to where you have to give them a better price or eat the deductible or this or that. So I think the biggest challenge here, with not having good storms, is we have to get someone's attention enough
Mm-hmm.
and build enough rapport with them that we can educate them on the fact that they may actually have a problem on their roof,
Isn't
because a
that,
lot of times it doesn't look like it.
and that's tough, man. Like I getting someone to think, to feel the problem, to think about the problem, putting a big, microscope on the problem and like blowing it up for them that you can see it. That's the hardest part, right? Like if you can identify a problem, that's like the hardest part about sales, the hardest part about marketing. You have to have a problem and you have to make it clear, and you have to like almost like dig into it a little bit. Like, I mean, clearly it feels like to me, the best salespeople, the best marketers know how to pinpoint problem and make it very clear and hard to deny. And sometimes like for instance, we do some work for medical companies too. Like we have other kinds of clients, and like medical, like it's like the problem is just so freaking obvious. You want to stay alive, you know? Would you like to stay alive? Like it's just different, right? So it's
You
like,
don't want to die, do you?
yeah, exactly. So it's like leaking on head is not as big of a deal as you would like to live. Like, so how do you do that? How do you, like, in those conversations, how do you really clarify and talk through the problem with them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I imagine, that's something that you deal with a lot at your marketing agency is,
Mm-hmm.
really trying to dive into the problems
Mm-hmm.
of people. So for me, I think it's you have to put a really big emphasis on building trust.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you can do that. There's a lot of really subtle ways to do that. There's a book called The Like Switch that I just read recently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's like some cool little body language signals that you can send. If you stand directly at someone,
Yeah.
they're more locked into the conversation
Yeah.
with you. But if you stand a little bit more to the side, it's a little bit less intimidating.
My
So
question is, what do you ask when you knock on a door?
what
Like, hi.
so how do I get someone
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
acknowledge that they have a problem on their roof when
Yeah,
their roof
imagine
was
I'm
just
a
fine?
trainee, because I actually do want to go knock doors. I've never knocked a door for a roofing company, but I want to. What have you find are the best opening lines?
So a lot of times, like pretty much every roofer uses this pitch.
Yep.
We've been working with some of your neighbors,
Yep.
because it builds like credibility and
Yep.
you've got social proof. Hey, we just worked with John down the street.
Yep.
Do you know John?
Yep.
Yeah. You probably notice a lot of people in this neighborhood are getting their roofs done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've been wondering why all these roofs are getting done. Well, that's because you had a big hailstorm last December. Do you remember it?
Mm-hmm.
And most time down here, people are like, I don't even remember what I had for lunch yesterday.
Yeah.
So you say, yeah, we had a big hailstorm. And then I usually pull out my phone and show them some pictures. Here's some pictures of John's roof. He had a lot of hail damage. And then you have to educate them what hail damage actually is. Because out here, it's like 1-inch hail. It's not that big. But you have to educate them and just say, look, this may not look like much. It may not look like a big deal to you, but you probably are seeing lots of granules come off the roof and in your driveway a lot, right? They're like, yeah, I have to sweep them off every weekend after it rains. So what the hail damage does is it cuts the lifetime of your roof nearly in half. So you thought you had a 30-year shingle up there. After a big hailstorm like that, it's probably only got a few years left. So, and a lot of people don't know, but your insurance covers that. So we just take a look at it for you and let you know what's up there.
I love that pitch, man. That's a solid pitch. When you're talking to people, and they've talked to another roofing company before, how do you shift the conversation, or how do you answer objections related to price or they've talked to somebody else maybe?
Meaning like we're already into the conversation and they want.
Yeah, let's say they've already kind of had somebody come by or whatever. And maybe they kind of know they might need something, but they're kind of like, how do you deal with when they're kind of like putting you up against another company? You've talked about that being a problem.
So they're considering another company and now I'm talking to them.
Yeah.
I never badmouth anyone.
Yeah.
I never say, oh, those guys are crooks, those guys are whatever. I just say, yeah, they're probably a great company. And then I just move right on with my pitch.
Yeah.
I don't even really pay attention to it because I'm here right now and my goal is to get you to make a decision.
Yeah.
Whether that's to kick me off your property or to work with me.
Yeah.
I don't really care about what XYZ Roofing said. Well, they said, and
so you don't focus too much on that competition. That's probably a good call.
Yeah, I really don't.
So what kind of tools do you use in the sales process? Not that you're like necessarily recommending these tools, just curious for your guys' organization.
Talking about like software tools we use?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've only used two, RoofLink and AccuLinks. Right now we're using RoofLink, and RoofLink's great. I mean, there's trade-offs, but what I like about RoofLink is that they kind of took everything that a door-to-door sales roofing company would do and they put it all into one. Like Sales Rabbit, you've got your storm maps in there. You can sign contracts in there. RoofLink is pretty much the only thing we use right now.
Okay.
AccuLinks is great too. I like them both.
Yeah. Nice. What are some mindset shifts that you found valuable in the process of becoming an awesome roofing salesperson? So if you were to talk to, a young person who's getting into this and they're somewhat fresh, what are some mindset shifts? I know that you already talked through the top, have a good mentor, find someone to mentor, and stay out of your car, your truck. What would you say are some other mindset shifts that kind of were big for you as you started to be more effective?
I would just prioritize having fun because it's a stressful job. It's hard to face rejection all day, every day. Yeah. And if you just smile, like there's so many tactics for sales and you should learn them. It's important to learn how to sell. But a lot of times, even myself, I get completely absorbed in the tactical side of things and my sales numbers go down. And I'm like, what the heck, man? Like, I'm learning all these cool new things about how to sell better, but I didn't sell as good as like back in 2016. I never even
Yeah.
read a sales book that whole year, and that was
Yeah.
my best year ever. But it's because back then, you know, I just had a lot of fun. And so
Hmm.
I always try to make sure when I go out, you know, we're having fun with the team. I'm cracking jokes with the people I'm talking to on the doors and not taking
Hmm.
myself too seriously. Honestly, I would say that is the number one most important thing with this job, is to make sure you have fun doing it.
I love that. That's a great takeaway. How about any, challenges? We can wrap up on this. Just,
Yeah.
it's so much easier to do a job when you kind of have clarity on what the challenges will be. Where do you see people turn back, and what did you do instead? Like, what are common challenges when people are getting into this, and how can you help them maybe stay the course?
I would say just dealing with the rejection, and I kind of spoke to that. Dealing with the constant rejection, because you're never going to be the best salesperson in the world and close every door that you knock on.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are like that. I'm not.
Is there any way that you can how do you get through that, man? I have a hard time with that. I did cold calling for my agency, and I just literally made my heart sink. I'm too sensitive. You know what I mean? So how do you deal with it?
Yeah, a lot of us are. I think just kind of like practice, the more reps you get, the better you are at something. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. And so I guess another thing I would say is that just try your best to detach from the outcome. Because you're obviously trying to get a sale. That's the outcome you want.
Yeah.
But it's never going to happen 100% of the time. So just stick to, okay, I'm gonna go way off base here. Have you ever heard the Bruce Lee? You know the new Bruce Lee documentary?
I have not seen it. No.
Have you heard about? Okay, it's called Be Water.
I feel like I already know what quote you're gonna go after.
You know the quote
one
I'm
kick
talking about?
10,000 times. Yes. One kick 1,000.
It's
Okay.
it's the quote. He goes, "Be water, my friend." And what he's saying is water is formless, shapeless. It can flow or it can crash. And when I'm out, you just have to, like I said, you just have to stick with it and do what you know you need to do, and not be emotional about it. And it's easier said than done, because we're humans. We have emotions and we can get our feelings hurt. But the more you can just if someone's mean to you on the door, or if someone hangs up on you, or if someone's a jerk to you, it's just man, I'm really glad I didn't work with that person. Because they would have been a nightmare to work with.
I love it. I think that's a good point to end on. I think stick with it and be water. I think that should be it, dude. Let's end on that.
Maybe I interpreted that quote wrong, but
I
like my version of it.
I dig it. So where could people find you guys if they're looking for and maybe talk about your service area, and just what also you might, if they're in your area? I think you had mentioned that you guys will be hiring in other states or something like that soon.
Yeah, so we're a small team right now. We're a really small company. This company didn't even do a storm claim before I came on. So we kind of opened up this division, and so we'll probably be hiring soon, and we're opening another state. So if anyone's interested in getting into the business or moving companies or something, reach out to me just on Facebook Messenger. Send me a friend request on Facebook, Ammon McKinley. And that's probably the best way to get a hold of me.
Awesome. And to spell that, it's AMMON and then MCKINLAY. Very active on the roofing groups on Facebook and stuff like that. And I think you're always trying to be useful, and appreciate you, saying what's up and us being able to do this podcast today. I think it means a lot. It helps me understand a little bit just more about what is it like to be, knocking on doors? What is it like to be in the thick of it with some of these leads that we're trying to help produce, right? But then also, how do we better complement companies that are doing door knocking as well? So those are things I'm looking at, and I appreciate everyone who listened today. It's Hook Agency, hookagency.com, and Hook Agency all over social. And thank you for listening to the Hook Better Leads podcast. Have a great day.